last question is going to be favorite sleeper, but let's finish with the edge rushers because I think there's one thing that's real clear. 49ers are going to take multiple edge rushers. They lost Charles Omenihu. They lost Samson Ebukam. They lost Jordan Willis. They brought in Cleveland Farrell. They brought in Austin Bryant, but they clearly need bodies here, and they may need a starter here opposite Nick Bosa. This is really, to me, one of the more interesting little developments is that the 49ers at their local pro day, Eric, had Isaiah Foskey there. Foskey went to Antioch High School, he's from Antioch, went to De La Salle High School, just down the street from me here in Concord. And Foskey's projected to go anywhere from like 25 to 50 in that range. The Niners don't pick until 99, and yet they still met with him. And with all the trade rumors circling, it just makes me think that there's no way that kid goes down there and meets with them unless his agent was told, hey, you know what, there's a decent chance the Niners wind up with a pick, and they have you high on their board. I kind of looked at him. I've looked at all the edge rushers. I look at Foskey as kind of a plug-and-play guy who could step in opposite Bosa, maybe as a rookie and start. But I also love Zach Harrison from Ohio State, who was a 5-star coming out of high school, didn't do a lot with the Buckeyes. But what do you think of Foskey? What do you think of the edge class? Who's your favorite? I mean, obviously there's Tyree Wilson, Will Anderson, Van Ness at the top, Nolan Smith. But outside of the premier guys, because those guys will be long gone by the time the Niners pick, let's just say from end of the first on down, who's your favorite edge rusher? Do you have an edge rusher sleeper that you can think of?
Okay, so a couple. First, I'll start with Foskey.
Yeah,
really like Isaiah Foskey. Really like him, but he's 253. He's a 250-pound edge. He's not the Tyree Wilson or, as you mentioned, Zach Harrison type. He's 270. But man, you saw him, and he gave Paris Johnson when Notre Dame and Ohio State, tussled. Isaiah Foskey, I thought, handled Paris Johnson would probably be the first tackle taken better than any edge I saw all season.
Wow.
At 253, he was getting in, and Paris is 6'6", 315. He's not the DeJuan Jones, but he's not light. And I thought he was able to get into his pads and give it to him pretty good. Foskey. I like Isaiah Foskey. And the edge class in general is a pretty damn good edge class this year.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, I find when you look at the testing too of the cornerbacks and the edges just over the past couple of years, you find that their scores compared to the RAS, relative athletic scores, and their percentile scores based historically, these guys are just getting more athletic and more athletic and more athletic every year. So I just feel like those freak positions, man, I love the depth there. Maybe in the cornerback class there isn't the same high end, but man, there is depth in this edge class. So it's a good place to be shopping at 99. I think that if you were to get Foskey, you'd be thrilled because you already have the base edge in Bosa, who's he does it all. You don't have to worry. He's there. He's done. So you can have a speed guy, at 250. You could do that on that other side and not have to worry about, edge setting and the run defense as much. Whereas with Harrison, right, he is that 270 pounds. Harrison, proportion-wise, if you look at his dimensions, he basically is Tyree Wilson. He's proportioned the exact same way across the board. Like those measurements, if you like Tyree Wilson, you look at Harrison and he's got it. It's just he didn't have you. And again, he was a 5-star. It's almost like Wilson was the self-made man, that 3-star kid who comes in, was at Texas A&M, but didn't get the time he wanted, transfers over there to Texas Tech, and is possessed. I feel like it might have come a little too easy, too young to Harrison. It might have actually, with these 5-star guys, kind of stunts him where he was fully developed at 18 years old. That Wilson didn't have, and he had that extra juice to get there. But the proportions and the physicality, and you watch when he's on, Harrison can go. And he would be opposite of Bosa. Does he have the sick, the 40, the burst that you're going to get out of Bosa? No. But if you bookend him with Harrison on the oppo side, handling right tackles where you got Bosa going up against the big boys, man, you're talking about a couple of guys with serious length. And you're not going to worry about him against the run either. In terms of edge setting with Harrison, pristine. fucking locked down edge setter. He's not going to be. He needs more work with his toolkit on the rush. He needs to diversify it. But that would be a great look if you can get him at 99 with such a good edge class. Maybe he is. I mean, you're probably projecting a little bit, but that would be either of those guys I really do like genuinely in the process. And if I'm going down the board, a couple of guys I like later on, Isaiah McGuire, Missouri. I definitely think his approach in the pass rush, and I'm looking at the pass rush not as much as the run, but like his tempo, he'll go and he'll come full tilt at you one snap. And the next one kind of give you a little hesitation and then cross his face, and go over and attack the inside edge. Very active with the hands, good frame. And you could possibly get him down there at 99, even though he could be a climber. And then Yaya Diaby, Louisville, kind of raw, like long, again, those dimensions. Isn't like has a great frame, but isn't cut up. You can see, like, if you get him and you can work with him a little bit, 260. Has the length, has the frame, really great, like just natural instincts on the edge in terms of rushing the passer. Natural instincts. You can see, like, he doesn't even have to think. It's reactive in his counters. I love it. Polish him up. You can get him in that fourth round. I think he could end up being somebody, like a consistent contributor, and you can get him for a reasonable price because he's a little raw.
Yeah. Oh, and I love marrying those two traits of elite athletic traits and collegiate production. He was one of the 49ers 30 visits, Yaya Diaby, and I like him a lot. But this is an awesome class. I mean, I like Nick Hampton from Appalachian State. I think Jose Ramirez from Eastern Michigan is something.
Ramirez.
I love Tyrus Wheat from Mississippi State. I think he's a sleeper. I love Junior Fajoko from San Jose State. Tavius Robinson. Tavius Robinson, the Canadian kid from Ole Miss. I really like him. B.J. Thompson, Stephen F. Austin, Incoom. There's a lot of guys. There's gonna be guys. Yeah, Incoom.
You mentioned Incoom to me last time. Hell of a run defender.
Yeah, he's really nice. Yeah. All right, last one, and we appreciate your time, and we'd love to get your thoughts after the draft and once we know who the Niners pick, but. I've got a sleeper for you. You wouldn't do this for a living if almost like the game plan is to find the player that nobody else sees the greatness in. And if you can find that guy, if you hit on a late day 3 pick or an undrafted free agent like the Niners have, they hit on Azeez Al-Shahir and they hit on George Kittle and DJ Jones and late round guys and undrafted guys. It makes your football team so much better. The guy that I think is just an unbelievable sleeper, and people are really missing out on this guy because I'm seeing him late in the draft, is Charlie Thomas, the linebacker for Georgia Tech. I watch a ton of ACC football. This guy doesn't have the size that you're looking for, right? He's a safety size. He's 6'2", 207 pounds. They list him here. He's probably closer to 215. But if you look up the leading tacklers in NC2A, this guy's like third on the list in tackles. He does nothing but make tackle after tackle after tackle. Then you look at him. He's a great athlete. He's from Thomasville, Georgia. Yep. His workout numbers are incredible. And then you look at the Niners right now. They keep going for, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, converted DB. Fred Warner, converted DB. In a lot of ways, Charlie Thomas fits that same mold. I think he's going to be a day 3 pick. I think he's going to be an NFL. He kind of reminds me of Telvin Smith for Jacksonville, who played at 215, played at Florida State, now is no longer in the league. But I think Charlie Thomas is absolute steal. And the other kid from Troy, the 5'9" linebacker, Carlton Marshall. Yeah. I mean, those two guys are like right there at the top of the list of tackle makers in college football. And to me, when you get to day 3 and you're just looking for some guy who can make your football team, I will take a chance on the guys who made all the tackles in college football that they can convert somehow, some way, even if they're not the right height or weight or whatever. Love Carlton Marshall, love Charlie Thomas. I think they're steals for whoever gets them. Give me somebody you think's a steal. I'm sure you've probably got a bunch, but give me somebody, any position, really.
All right, any position I like. I'll go to wide receiver since let's face it, wide receiver is sexy. We all like wide receivers.
Yeah.
I'm a big Matt Landers guy for
Yes,
Arkansas.
for Arkansas, who runs super
Six
fast.
two. Oh boy, 6'2", 200. Right. So like he's a legit big wide receiver. He was at Georgia originally, a Georgia recruit. Couldn't get on the field. He's behind George Pickens. I can forgive him for that. But then transferred to Toledo because he was just like, look, I got to get on the field. I want to play. I want to show people what I can do. I'm not getting on the field here. And because he was so buried at Georgia, like he couldn't get the kind of Power Five attention he wanted. So he transfers down the MAC in Toledo. It doesn't even really play for the first 6 games. Like he doesn't even see, he barely sees the field. Like he's just kind of getting acclimated to the whole system, getting everything together and whatever have you. And then the second half of 2021, he starts getting some opportunities. And every single time they threw him a deep ball, he wasn't just catching it and converting it. He was destroying the quarterbacks at the MAC level that are trying to cover him. I mean, they're nowhere near him. He's just, in terms of his routes, his polish, his clean, like his route manipulation, like he's so deceptive and fast and just playing fast. But like he isn't like he's just running routes. Like his little hesitations and like, his mid route manipulation is so good that he was a man among boys at that level. And it was clear, like, all right, this guy doesn't belong here. So he graduates and transfers a graduate to Arkansas last year and pretty much replaces Treylon Burks as the dynamic everything in one weapon for Arkansas. They also transferred in Jadon Hazelwood from Oklahoma, who's more like a short yardage intermediate guy. He's kind of more of a technician. You need a third down. He gets you 9 yards when you need 8. But the dynamic weapon was Matt Landers, and he went and tested great. Was in the 90th percentile plus in terms of athleticism, how that projects. I just think everything, the pedigree's there, the way I love his routes. Going from Toledo, doing it at Arkansas at the SEC level in the SEC West, the best conference that there is. I was really impressed. So I'm a big Matt Landers guy, and you can get him for really cheap.
Yeah. No, he's 3 colleges. He's Georgia, then Toledo, then Arkansas. But what I like too is he finished strong. I mean, he had well over 100 yards in that Liberty Bowl win over Kansas. Arkansas. I mean, Landers he might even be bigger than 6'2". I mean, he's something else. I mean, he's really, really nice. That's the thing. Wide receivers, you can seem like you can find these guys late.